Well, intellectual property law has finally progressed past Steamboat Willie. What do I mean by that? Well, ever since Steamboat Willie came out, they have been extending the intellectual property rights for intellectual property, for trademarks and all that whatnot. And so it's funny how Disney made billions and billions of dollars, bought off enough politicians, and every time Mickey Mouse's copyright was about to expire, the law got extended for another few years. And then when that was about to expire, we're going to extend it again. And then, we're going to extend it again. Finally, it stopped. And so now the march of time is day by day slowly bringing things that were previously out of touch into the public domain. So what does that mean? Well, that means we're going to have some interesting entertainment options based on characters that previously used to be owned by other people. John Rizvi is a patent professor. He's a patent law professor, Southeastern Law School in Florida. And I hear we're about to have some horror film versions of some great classics like Bambi, Peter Pan, and Pinocchio. Is this going to be as awesome as it sounds, John?
Yeah, well, let me start by saying this is not the first of the horror film, I guess, experiments that have been done. There's earlier last year there was Winnie the Pooh horror film known as Blood and Honey. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Is on a shoestring budget, a film of $50,000 in cost, and it returned $5 million at the box office. So it was an incredible success, and which led to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, and that one unfortunately had like 10 times the budget. So they put $500,000 into it and barely broke even with about $500,000 at the box office. So the question on how these are going to continue in the future, it's kind of iffy right now because the first one may be written off as a lot of the novelty was there, right? It's the first time you saw a Disney character, Winnie the Pooh, a lovable children's character, go rogue and actually in the movie goes about eating all of his friends, and it's a bloody movie. The trailer is out to Bambi, The Reckoning, and I don't know. Have you had a chance to see the trailer?
I haven't seen the trailer, but I have seen that there is a trailer for Bambi, The Reckoning.
And it's almost, it's revenge in the sense there's two hunters at the beginning, and one of them asks the other one if they've ever shot a deer, and he says yes, once, and the implication is that was Bambi's mother. And then you see this ferocious deer, supposedly Bambi, come out of the woods and basically flip a vehicle upside down with his antlers. And that was basically the trailer. So we do have Bambi now in the public domain. So I don't know if they have the actual release date, but it's not too far off. It's certainly going to be this year. But the real worry is all the upcoming announcements by the same company, Peter Pan, Pinocchio, and in fact they have a group of characters, and they're calling that one the Pooniverse Monsters Assemble. So there's a lot coming up. Do you know the name of this company? I think that it's really telling, the company that's launching these films.
Well, what's the name of the company?
Twisted Childhood Universe, because they're essentially using all of these expired copyrights, and I think, in my view, destroying them by turning them into horror films.
Well, that's a pretty narrow niche they've carved out for themselves. Do you think Disney's going to fight them at some point?
Well, unfortunately, that's the problem with the law is not on Disney's side. Once the copyright has expired, really all Disney has is their trademarks to help protect them, and the trademarks are to stop consumer confusion. And it's going to be a really tough job for Disney to claim that their customers believe that Disney is behind these movies. No one's going to believe that Disney is producing Bambi: The Reckoning. So kind of a strange law in that the more, I guess, the movie director departs from the original characters, the better position they are in legally. So almost the more despicable the movie, the more sound footing they're on from a legal standpoint.
Legally speaking? Well, I think this is going to be fun because whenever you open more things up to the public domain, and you get more of a variety of approaches to it, that's kind of the norm in our society until Mickey Mouse happened. We always had these public domain characters that we all talked about, like Frankenstein's in the public domain because, the Mary Shelley's been dead forever, and we've had vampires and werewolves, and on top of that, I've always thought it's weird how much Disney profited off characters that were in the public domain, like the Little Mermaid's an old Danish story going back to the whatever century. And so I've always thought it was an interesting dance they did by both benefiting off the public domain and then changing the rules to benefit them for their own original characters while using other characters. And I guess it couldn't last forever.
Yeah, and you bring up an excellent point because it's, the original copyright term was 14 years. And then in 1831, it was changed to 28, and then 28 years with a 28 renewal. And in 1976, life of the author plus 50 years. And again, in 1998, some of these extension acts are referred to as the Mickey Mouse Extension Act because it's just suspiciously close to periods when Mickey Mouse was about to go into the public domain. And then the law suddenly changed and gave more time. Well, actually, finally the Steamboat Willie, there was Disney, Steamboat Willie was out of time, and that that rendition of Mickey Mouse is now in the public domain.
Right. So I love the idea of just having a 14-year-old time span or even a 28-year time span, because that means, like, if it was just a 14-year time span, the Big Lebowski would be in the public domain. I could make a Big Lebowski, too, just based on those characters. I could have Walter in it. Donnie's obviously can't be in it unless it's a prequel. But I'm interested in seeing what the art world can do when you take the reins off of some of these. And I understand why they exist, patents and trademarks and whatnot. But I think we took it way too far, and I like seeing this come back. I think we're going to like what we see with the reuse of some of these existing characters.
Yeah, and part of the disparity, like a patent, so you come up with a new invention that cures cancer, does whatever, like really benefits society. The duration of patent protection is only 20 years total. A copyright is the life of the author plus 70 years. That's ridiculous, and it's completely out of line with other areas of intellectual property, with patents, for example. So a lot of that is due to lobbying by Disney for extensions. But I think at this point, without any further extensions, we have an entire line of characters, Bugs Bunny, as we've seen, Bambi, Batman, Superman, Peter Pan. They all, in the coming few years, are going to be in the public domain. Now, the question of whether these type of horror films continue, I think ultimately is going to depend on economics. Like if Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 is any indication, it's barely broken even, and maybe the taste, you said a narrow niche, maybe the taste of that niche is fulfilled, and they've had enough, the novelty's worn off, and now it's not going to have the same impact. And hopefully we'll stop seeing these. And I've been asked a lot, well, if the law's not on the public side, if the law's on the side of Twisted Childhood Universe, what can people do? I think the best stance they can take is simply not pay, not go to the movies, not watch these.
Yeah, don't watch it. Easy enough.
Don't watch it. And that's going to ultimately stop. There's going to be no financial incentive for them to continue. And I bet if that happens, in fact, probably a lot is going to ride on how Bambi the Reckoning does in the box office. If it doesn't do well, these other announced future films may just be canceled. Peter Pan, Pinocchio, the horror versions of the Puniverse, all of those may just go by the wayside if Bambi the Reckoning does really poor.
All right. This is John Rizvi, the patent professor. Thanks for being on the James Show.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.